Thank you, Zainab. And thank you for those who are watching out there. We are going to present our piece that's entitled Trans Relations. We've been working extensively on this for the last few weeks. Also, I'm Kaitlin Bryson. I'm Matea friend. We're in our home right now, and it's a little bit noisy out there. So motorcycle gangs. Anyway, we've been working on this piece for the last few weeks, and we also were fortunate enough to collaborate with another friend, Ian Nelson, who helped produce the sound for this piece. But it really looks at the intimacy between plants and mycorrhizal fungi, who form intricate relationships that are mutually beneficial, that they exchange nutrients, and in that process they actually communicate, and they form long, vast networks of communication systems throughout ecosystems. So mycorrhizal fungi are invariably important in ecosystems because of this. They're sort of this transportation highway for information and resources. And as they are living biotic materials, they they produce electricity, and so you can actually tap into this electrical current and translate that current to a sound. And we are in the process of actually doing this, called biosonification. But this was kind of the impetus for this piece and how it sort of developed, because we're interested in what sounds they're making and what that means, what they're trying to say, and if we can begin to decode those messages, not in an extractive way, but really in a way where we can listen to these really ancient organisms who have a lot to say about the earth and who also help take care of us. So through a really kind of dynamic installation that includes the technology, the ancient technology of weaving between different species of trees in the UCLA Botanical Gardens, and matched with projected imagery that Matea made. She completely animated all of the imagery that you're about to see, and then coupled with sound that was produced from an analog synth that kind of tracks these different sound nodes that act as signals. And so the animations were created in collaboration with those signals to sort of, again, to inquire about this communication. And so we are, again, interested in how we can describe this communication to you all, to us humans, so we can begin to relate to these incredible organisms. So we're going to play our video, and after that, if you're interested, you can ask questions. We would love to stick around. It's about 18 minutes long. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it will play, and then yeah, we would love to hear questions from you. The way that you ask questions in this platform is you tap them into the chat in YouTube, and then that will be moderated by Zainab to where we're at. So without further ado, let's get this going. Actually, I'm shut the window. One second. All right, here we go. one more time just for those who joined late. So, and also in the chat, we're posting the link to the full quality video because I know that there's a little bit of a lag here. So again, thank you for being here, and we're just going to go through it one more time. Also, just want to say a huge thank you to Jules and Terry at the UCLA Botanical Gardens. Yeah, this project couldn't exist without you guys, and we really appreciate all of the effort and generosity with your time. So thank you, and thank you, of course, to the UCLA ArtSci Center and to Ars Electronica, Telluric Vibrations Festival for letting us be a part of it. Zainab, are there any questions or? Yes. Hi, Madeline.
Hi, Madeline.
Do you want to start?
I mean, we were kind of doing separate things, but we communicated so much, and that was actually like a really fun process for me, because like I couldn't really create those visuals without the sound because the sound actually drive most of those visuals. So like me and Ian had to communicate so much going back and forth, and then because like Kaitlin's a lot more knowledgeable scientifically on like how these forms are created, like I'd have her constantly like looking over my shoulder, like, does this look correct to you? Because I actually don't know as much as you. So she helped me inform the more scientific side of it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, just the aspect of communication in the piece was so much about communication and figuring out how to translate between like totally different media forms, from the sound to this very like textural weaving. Yay, Ian's here. Ian. Cool. To this sort of like very high tech world of light technology. The software that Matea is using is crazy. So it was an interesting translation process just through that. But also everything really flowed together really well. And
yeah, dream team.
Speaking of which, this is Ian Nelson.
Yeah, this is our sound.
Hello, thanks. I'm so grateful to be brought onto this project after the fact. Definitely Kaitlin and Matea had a thesis, and they pretty much had everything going on their end, and then approached me to do sound after the fact. They just pitched the idea to me, and I love mycelium and plant intelligence, so I was super hyped to be a part of this project. And all the sound was made with my analog synth, the Behringer Crave. For me, it just made the most sense to use that piece of gear because of the way analog synthesis works, and taking a single tone and just manipulating it through oscillation and changing the waveforms. And so yeah, I try to create a different unique identity for each communication point in the mycelium network. But it is important to say that like this is all my interpretation of what the sound would be like, and I'm inherently flawed and limited by my humanity. So there's only so much I could have done to like give a representation to that. But in the future, we hope to connect analog synthesis to the actual electrical chemical output of fungi and mycelium and get a true proper sound at how they communicate.
of
Can you, sorry, repeat the first part of the question again? I think there was... So we, in this iteration of the piece, I think this is all, we were all kind of like, I mean, we went hard on this piece, but it still was sort of treated as a prototype. As Ian just kind of mentioned, like what we're imagining, what could potentially happen is if we're able to translate the signals that we're getting from the mycelium, then that would really actually feed into
visualization. Yeah, that using those impulses to not only drive the audio, but to also drive the visual aspect, which is extremely interesting. Fortunately, in this version, we weren't able to get that data, but in our next version, we're 100% going to, and hopefully this just like helps us get to that next step.
Yeah. So this is what we imagined, you know, the sounds would look like, or like, I mean, that was also another really interesting process of translation. Like what are these signals, and what are they one signifying? So there's certain, you know, like there are things that like this pulsing, that was definitely a motif. Like we were thinking about when this pulsing is happening, like that's like maybe it's happening really rapid, and so that's signaling that there's nutrients over here, or and then you see these sort of like currents flowing to these places where there was a nutrient, or something like that. So again, it was very, like at this point, it's very speculative, but we're hoping to actually develop this, not only this art piece, but maybe some technology that can develop from it as well.
Then the other aspect was looking for the space for the movie.
Yeah. So yeah, we had this really wonderful opportunity to collaborate and partner with the UCLA Botanical Garden, and the process of looking, well, I mean, that place is magical. Yeah, so you're just like over there, right there, anywhere it could happen. But we were kind of like, I was thinking structurally, and wanted to connect multiple species of trees together. So I believe I was in this little sort of like nest of English holly, but there's also palm, a date palm, some monastera that was actually climbing up the date palm, and a metasequoia nearby too, that were all sort of like connected together through the woven network. So that's also to signify that mycelial networks, mycorrhizal networks, connect multiple species of plants together and distribute and share these nutrients and this information.
Yeah, you know that. You spent more time there.
I did spend a lot of time there. It felt, let's see here. Well, for one, it sounds cheesy, but I actually think it's real. It's very real to say that, well, to collaborate with the plants and the ecology that was in that, that I was surrounded, that I was submerged within. And that's, you know, that's actually a very integral part of my practice personally. I think that it's important to, well, I don't know, like, it's important, just to like settle in and to listen to that, to listen to what's going on, and
return.
And to return constantly.
Even in 120-degree weather.
Yeah, actually was weaving during the heat wave in Los Angeles last weekend, and it was a tough day. It was a tough few days. Also, there's a little stream nearby there, and so there's just a whole feeding ground of mosquitoes, and my skin was very ripe for the mosquitoes. So But anyway, all of those things being said, I mean, I was really within this world, within the world of the UCLA Botanical Gardens, that as Zeynep, that we talked about, like going to the gardens and noticing / knowing that everything has been transplanted there. It's a completely man-made place. Though it's surrounded by this sort of, it's this beautiful natural system that we think of as natural, but actually like everyone there is a transplant, which also feels very synonymous with Los Angeles. And sort of, so like there's all these different tensions going on, but really just, through the act of returning and finding kind of like the right place and structure, and seeking to form deeper relationships with plants all the time. So just to be around them and to weave with them. Also, like some anecdotes of like insects, not only the mosquitoes, but like tons of spiders, and which I love. The first day that I set up the loom, there were like some around, and I was kind of just like clearing some area. But by the time I came back the next day, like there were tons of spiders that had collaborated with me weaving. They were sort of all over it. So yeah, that was a nice aspect of it too.
Yeah, I think also too, just at least my experience when I was there last night, providing sounds, just being outside and being in a garden and being surrounded by greenery is such a pleasant change. Like, I know at least for myself, I'm indoors a lot and just staring at screens, and so just being in that environment was super inspiring. Although at least for me, music wise, didn't influence what I did because I already recorded all that music before I even entered the gardens. But there was also a lot of mosquitoes there, and so there's definitely like some elements, and I was just so struck by the way Kaitlin's weaving felt to me like a spider web, and there's a ton of spiders in that garden, and I feel like she just really I don't know, tapped into like an inner spider mode and was just like weaving webs just as good as some of these spiders. But I will also say, for the people watching on YouTube Live, the moderator's voice doesn't come through. So whenever they ask a question, the people can't hear it. Zeynep, just so we're aware of that.
Oh, okay.
But Matea, did you have anything you wanted to say about the space?
No, I can't believe I got to project outside. That's kind of like a dream. Like, that was amazing. I think it was a really beautiful collaboration.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. For those of you that are out here, and check out the full quality video on Vimeo. And thanks again to Ian.
Yeah, thanks, Ian.
To the UCLA Botanical Garden, and to ArtSci Center. So
thank you guys.
Everyone take care. I love all of you that are out there. And we're gonna sleep.
Bye everyone.